Welcome to Common Ground with Bill Walton, featuring conversations with leaders, entrepreneurs, artists, and thinkers. Fresh perspectives on money, culture, politics, and human flourishing. Interesting people, interesting things.
Welcome. I'm here today with my good friend Lamaar Thomas, and we're going to follow up on a conversation we had a few weeks ago about football and families. And joining me is Maureen O'Donnell, who is our associate producer, and Maureen has reliably informed me that she knows a lot more about football than I do.
Oh, that's a little bit
Okay,
pressing.
well, we're off to the races. Welcome back, Lamaar. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, we were talking last time about your family and your family coming from a flag football background. What to amplify?
Yeah, so family come from a flag football background. They've been playing flag football before I was born, and now continue to play. My mom plays, my dad plays, my brother, myself. We're all on the same team. So it's a lot of family fun football. Our football takes place Saturday mornings instead of Sunday evenings, afternoons. Football, flag football that's our family right there.
And we who's the best athlete in your family?
The best athlete is my mom, and there's plenty of people in the family that would love to take the title of the best athlete, including myself. I wish I could, but mom is the way to go when you're looking for an athlete in the family to do whatever it is you need to do.
So if your mom's watching, this was all on cue?
If my mom's watching, this is all on cue.
So you're saying that you were like one of the best athletes in Maryland when you were growing up and played football, held a lot of records. I think went to a lot of bowls. Also, you were a championship track athlete, and then went on to Ohio State and to New Mexico State, and then ended up playing professional football, first with the Denver Broncos and then with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
There you go.
So your mom must be some athlete.
My mom is quite the athlete, and she doesn't have the accolades to follow it up, but I can show you a lot of flag football trophies in the house that
have all her name on it,
have
right?
her name on it, and you would think they'd be my trophies, and they're not mine. I'm like, nope.
And your mom's name is?
Elwanda Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
So you're obviously a gifted athlete, and you played the skilled positions. You played running back and wide receiver, and we got to talking about what it takes to do that. I mean, with track, I suppose you just learn how to run fast.
Okay,
There's probably more to it than that. But what do you do to become a top flight wide receiver?
Well, there's a lot of things goes into it, and attention to detail, being precise, like as you could understand, is a lot that goes into that. And you work on playing receiver, you work on hand-eye coordination. Like I was telling you a story about me just catching tennis balls, and I got to Ohio State, and all we caught was tennis balls, and I couldn't catch a tennis ball to save my life. But those are some of the skills that you need, to help you as a receiver.
So you show up at summer camp, and you got the picture of all these big athletes tossing tennis balls back at each other.
Yes, and I'm thinking that I'm signing up for my football team, and here we are catching tennis balls.
Tennis.
Exactly, here we are catching tennis balls. I wish I had known. I would have maybe practiced a little bit catching the tennis balls.
What about footwork? What do you do for footwork?
Oh, football, you have ladder drills, a lot of cone drills, a lot of precise drills, where your foot has to hit right here or hit right there in order for you to make this cut or that cut and go to that direction or this direction.
Now, do you start learning this in high school, grade school? What's the progression to be good at this?
Well, I started playing football when I was 6. So the skills weren't as detailed when I was 6, but a lot of things started to transfer as I got 12.
Well, at that point, the tennis balls
15.
were pretty big.
Exactly.
Really?
Exactly, and a lot easier to catch. I could use 2 hands when I was 6. When I got to Ohio State, they're like, hey, catch it with just 1 hand,
And your mother asked you to be a track star, too.
Yes, my mom asked me to run track when I was 7, and I didn't want to do it. She kind of made me run track, and she said, hey, if you don't like it, the next year you don't have to, but I promise you it'll help you out with football. And I've now learned to this day, my mom isn't wrong too many of the times when she tells me that I need to do something, because the track kind of translated into football, and from there it kind of took off.
And so you really liked it.
Yeah, and I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it at the beginning, but I think it was more of just because I didn't want to. But as I started to see how good I could be and how it helped translate into football and how fast I actually was, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed winning and competing, and so track stuck with me.
How fast were you?
So I ran a lot of different times. My fastest 100 time was 10:32, 10.3 seconds, and my fastest 40 time is 4.32 seconds.
Wow.
So I run pretty well, to say the least.
Well, one of the reasons I want to have you on the show is that you've got a long record of achieving success, doing things you set out to do. I think at 7 you were in the Special Olympics.
I was in the Junior Olympics.
The
when I
Junior
was
Olympics?
7. Yeah,
Sorry, not special. The Junior Olympics. I gotta get that
I was
straight.
in the Junior Olympics when I was 7. That was the first year I actually had to run. My mom made me run and ended up making it to the Junior Olympics, which was one of the reasons why I continued to run, because I'm like, hey, this is cool. Like, I'm in the Junior Olympics. Like, I know there's some guys in the Olympics that I maybe I can get there one day, but if I'm 7 and I'm 8 and I can make it to the Junior Olympics, like, hey, I want to stick to
pretty
this
impressive.
and see where I can actually take this.
Well, one of the claims that Maureen made was that her family is also very involved in football. But as fans, though, what are your...
We watch the Redskins every Sunday whenever they play, and we're kind of sad
Yeah.
because they
not a
aren't
good
doing
year,
very
no.
well. But we also watch, the other teams as well. We like to watch Dallas lose,
Yeah.
and yeah, my son is a big football fan and played football, growing up, and he watches classic ESPN. So we definitely watch football. So and I enjoy it.
So what's it? Well, so we get to see it on TV. I think what's really interesting and what goes on behind the scenes, and you show up, you come on the field, but there's a lot that goes into that. I mean, what's a game day like for you?
Yeah, game day. I mean, game day is it's a lot more complicated than just showing up, going out there, and hey, catching some touchdowns. You practice throughout the week. You have preparation. You're preparing for a particular team, and the coaches get into detail. During the week when you're game planning to, as far as, hey, on third downs, they like to run this play, 90 times out of 100, to the point where now we're making a defense or we're making a play to stop that. It kind of, the predictability, you kind of want to stop, and you game plan for things like that. So throughout the week, there's a lot of detail that goes into different aspects of the game, and a lot of times people look at, just the catching and the scoring and the running, but then you have field goals, you have special teams that play a big part of the game, play a big part of field position. And like I said, a lot of people think that you just kind of go out there and you toss the ball around and you catch touchdowns, but there's a lot of preparation that goes into what's actually going to be done on Sunday.
Well, one of the things that we wanted to get into is you brought along some notes you took when you're playing with the Denver Broncos. It's not the actual playbook, but you took the trouble to actually write out most of what you were doing, and you had Peyton Manning as your quarterback.
Yes, exactly.
So we're looking at this playbook. It's very beautiful, purple ink. This is very, very nice, and we've got the plays in here and the diagrams, and I think we've got a camera that's going to close in on some of this. Is there a particular place you want to point us to that would be what's going on here with all this?
Yes.
You can point it out. Use your...
Yeah, so there's nothing in particular going on, but you have, different concepts on each page. So this is a concept of dig routes, and what you call a dig route is a basic in route.
Okay,
so a
dig
lot
route
of these,
here, I'll do the pointer here. Maybe.
Yeah, a lot of these routes have at some point they have a in cut. So this route here, this would be your dig. That's your in cut there, and then you have your in cut over here.
Why do you call it a dig?
A dig, I have no particular reason to why it's called a dig.
Okay.
You're running as fast as you can, and you're digging your feet into the
that could
into the
easily be
field.
why. Yeah, that could easily be why. But digs always go in towards the quarterback. So anytime you run a dig, your route's going to break inside and not break outside. Whereas, as you can see on this opposite page, you have a few dag routes, and dag routes will break outside. So you have a dig that breaks in and a dag that breaks out.
A
Okay.
dig.
A dig and a
so
dag.
this is a dig here. Now we've also got a dish.
A dish. So it's another concept off of the dig. So your basic dig is the end breaking route, which you have from here.
Right here.
And then the dish part of the play is just basically what everyone else is doing.
Okay, so how many of these plays do you have to memorize?
Oh man, it's endless, the number of plays. I mean, you can come
50?
up to a lot more.
Like
than
100?
50. A lot, probably closer to 200, I would guess. 200 plays that you have to remember. Now, all these 200 plays aren't going to be called every Sunday.
Yeah.
So in the weekly production, you you have your pool of 200 plays, and you say, hey, these 75 plays are what we're going to run, or these are more likely to be called on Sunday because we think that this is going to work against the Cowboys, even though it didn't work against the Redskins or it didn't work against whatever team it is. This week we'll run these group of plays because it looks good against that opponent.
So there's a lot of memorization.
Yes, a lot.
Now,
There's a lot.
do any players decide, I'm not going to do that, I'm just going to wing it? Or do they?
Those are the players that normally don't make the team.
Okay.
Those players that say like, hey, you know what, I can't really get these plays. I'm just kind of gonna do my own thing. Those are the players that you don't see on Sundays.
I'm just not feeling it.
Yeah,
Right.
you don't see those players on Sundays.
Okay.
So what are we looking at here with something called runs and bolt practice?
Okay, so
this is hieroglyphic.
yeah, so you have these were just run plays. So your first box here, you have your 38 and 39, which are outside run plays. So the way this goes, you have holes on the offense. Your even numbers are to the right, your odd numbers are to the left.
Right.
Okay, and as your numbers get higher, that's the more outside the run turns into. So your 8 and 9 plays, 38 and 39, those are going to be outside runs. So the ball will be going to the running back behind the quarterback, and they'll be running to the outside. And you might have, there's no plays on this page, but if there was a play, 40 and 41, those are plays that will be going more up the middle. Okay, so 40 would go up the middle to the right, 41 will go up the middle to the left, if that makes sense. So
Yeah, it does.
yeah, so 9s to get you outside, 1s to get you inside, if that makes any sense.
So you played for Peyton Manning.
I did.
He is amazing, and he's also runs a complicated offense. Want to talk about that?
Yeah, that Peyton Manning's offense is, so we have, like I was just telling you about the plays, we have our 200 plays, and maybe he will call, in the huddle, you might get the play for dig. That might be the play. But you get to the line of scrimmage, and the defense might be doing something, that wasn't expected. You now need to know that the play is no longer dig, because the defense lined up in something different. So now you need to know what the play is, what's the audible. You always hear Peyton Manning a lot of times.
Right.
You hear he has this famous Omaha.
Omaha.
That's his famous quote. That's the famous thing. Omaha, that was the trend for his last season. They heard Omaha. And Omaha, it has its meaning, but like that just means he comes to this last time he comes to line of scrimmage and he can just change the play. And now it's not dig or it's not dag, and it's
So there's a lot of moving parts.
there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot going on. The play is never really concrete. There's a route that you would run against a particular coverage, and then there's a route you would run against another coverage.
So in a given game, how many times would you have a busted play where people don't remember exactly what it is they're supposed to do?
I think that
And we're talking professional now.
I think that a lot of times
not your peewee league.
you get a lot of extended plays, which looks like busted plays, but a lot of the times people actually know what they're doing. There isn't too many times where people are running around and they don't know what they're doing, and things get hectic. There are times where the quarterback could get the snap and he's looking and maybe his guy isn't open, so then he kind of runs around and then it looks as if it's a busted play. But a lot of the plays are scripted and they go the way that they.
So you're also building on the fact that by the time you're 22 years old, 23 years old, if you made it to the pros, how many thousands of hours of practice do you think you've had?
And I wouldn't even be able to put a number on it, and the amounts of plays that I've learned from college to the pros, different minds have different ideas on how they want to run their offense and how they want to do things and how they want to execute.
How much carryover is there from college playbooks to pro playbooks? Are they similar? Are they vastly different?
They're similar. The most unique playbook is the one that you're looking at right now, which is Peyton Manning's playbook. Of course, you can imagine that being quite complicated, but pretty much, a lot of the plays are the same, but they have different terminology, slightly different details that go into the play. Like maybe you're 2 yards wider on this play, but it might be the same exact play that you ran in college, for Ohio State that you would run for the Jacksonville Jaguars, but maybe there's two yard of a difference here, or maybe this person lining up, standing up instead of being down. It could be slightly different, but a lot of the plays, a lot of the concepts are very similar, offensively and defensively.
So you're in the huddle, does anybody ever say to Peyton, Peyton, that play's okay, but I've got a better idea?
They wish they could do that.
That doesn't happen.
That would never happen. I could never see that happen. Like Peyton Manning calling a play, and somebody like, wait, I think I have a better idea. I don't,
You don't
think
see that?
no. And if that did happen, that might be that guy's last time in that huddle.
But on a Peyton Manning basis, I mean, how was it to play with a man such as he?
Yeah, Peyton Manning, like I tell people all the time, he's the guy that you think he is. You know, a lot of times you see some people on TV and you're like, oh, there's no way he can be acting like that. You know, there's no way he's that chill. And Peyton Manning is really that chill and that down to earth and that cool of a guy. You know, I told Bill this one time, but the first time I met Peyton Manning, he just walked up to me. I'm standing in the weight room. This is my rookie year. It's my third day in Denver. And he just walked up to me. He's like, hey, I'm Peyton Manning, as if I didn't know who he was. Shakes my hand, and he asks me, you know, how are things going? You know, you just got here, and then you had camp this weekend. How'd it go? And I mean, for a guy like Peyton Manning to do something like that, you know, it says a lot about him and his character. And I've seen another story I like to tell. I've seen Peyton Manning. We've had camps, and fans come to practice, and, you know, you get an opportunity to interact with Peyton Manning. That's something that you'll cherish. So Peyton Manning, a lot of times he takes a bottle of water, and he'll drink the bottle of water. He'll find somebody in the stands, and he kind of just loosens the top. Okay, he loosens the top, and he acts like he's drinking the water. Like, hey, you want some water? And if Peyton Manning offers you water, of course I want water from Peyton Manning. Yeah, they take the bottle and they go to drink it, and the water comes out. And if it's anybody but Peyton Manning, you got to be one
upset. Charming guy to get away with that.
You know, you're upset. I'm like, wait, this is my Peyton Manning jersey. Now it's wet.
I got
what
spoofed by Peyton Manning.
But it's Peyton Manning, so it's cool and it's funny, you know. And I mean, but that's the type of guy he is. This is in the middle of practice sometimes. You know, he takes his job seriously, as you can tell, you know, from an X and O standpoint. But the guy, he has fun. He's the comedian that you see in the commercials. You know, that's the guy he is. Yeah.
You were a dual sport athlete. You were a track athlete, and you ran track in high school. You also did it in college. Is that unusual?
Yeah, it's unusual, and actually it's kind of frowned upon because you get the kind of tracking. It's similar in track as football really seems. It's actually a lot different as far as the way you take care of your body and the way that you train and the way that you use your muscles. And so football is a power sport.
So what's the difference in training? Track on the one hand, and you were a short distance guy, right?
Yeah, short sprint
60
guy.
meters, 100 meters, 400 meter relay.
Yeah.
How do you train differently for that, to do that versus being a wide receiver?
I mean, as a wide receiver, the training is not so different because you do a lot of running.
Yeah.
But with wide receiver training, you do a lot of cutting, and there's a lot of footwork things that go into it. Whereas track is for me mostly straight line running. You know, you kind of build up your speed, you get going, and you run as fast as you can. You know, so I mean, in that aspect, track and football training is a little different.
Yeah, the lateral moves are the big
lateral
difference.
movements
Yeah,
is the
the
biggest
cutting,
difference. Yeah. And in football, you have to worry about sometimes you have to make a guy miss. You know, you have to run, and you can run at full speed, and you might have to stop at a dime and just make somebody miss. So in track, once you get up to that speed,
You're going.
You're going.
Right.
You know, you're off
There's
and
no
running
turning
now.
back.
Yeah, no, you can't change your mind now. Yeah.
We were talking before we got on about the difference in your life as a college football player and pro football player, and you described a life that was really full in college. What was that like?
Yeah, in college, like you said, mentioned, I was a dual sport athlete. So there were times, you know, in the spring and in the summer where I'm competing in track and I'm having football practice. You know, we got spring ball, and the coaches, they're really strict on spring ball. Hey, we have to get ready for the season. We only have 20 days to practice with pads. So hey, this is what's going on. And then I have my track team was like, hey, we have conference championship coming up. You know, we need you ready for that. We need you to be here for that.
But you also have school.
I have school. I have study hall and mandatory study hall. I have mandatory classes. I have my social life. I'm in college. I'm 21. I'm 22. I want to have fun.
So 21-year-olds have a social life. I remember
Some
that.
of them do.
I remember that. Well, you did pretty good in the study hall, though.
I did pretty good in study hall, yes. My freshman year, when I was at Ohio State, I made all Big Ten academic, which was big for me. It was a big deal for me. My mom was proud of me. And once my mom gets happy, I mean, that's what I want to keep doing. I want to keep making my mom happy.
I think we've established your mother as a force of nature.
Right.
After that happened, I'm like, hey, I want to do this all the time, you know. So I took my academics serious. I made sure that I was at my study halls and I got all my things done. And I was able to have time to study for this test. Although I had practice and I had football workouts and I had to lift here and I had to do weights and, you know.
Well, you kept it up at New Mexico State. You were all academic in the Mountain West Division, weren't you?
I was also all academic in the Mountain West. Now, I must correct you because I know there's going to be a lot of people watching this, a lot of Lobo fans will be watching this. And I went to the University of New Mexico.
Oh my
New
God!
Mexico
Okay,
State.
well,
So New Mexico State.
I told you, Maureen's got all the superior subject matter knowledge here.
You're giving those New Mexico State guys way too much credit. Those guys, they don't deserve that kind of credit down there.
I'm glad I stand corrected. So you go from the full life in college, and then you go to the pros. How's that different?
And surprisingly, it was much different. You know, I didn't have to worry about going to study hall. It was, you know, you come to practice, you lift your weights just for football. You know, you study just your plays. I don't have to worry about studying my plays and then also studying for my chemistry exam or, you know, for my communications test. You know, it's just football. And, you know, for a lot of people, that's living the life. Like, all I have to study is my football plays. I don't have to worry about studying for my math or my stats exam, you know? So, but, I mean, my life in college was, hey, I'm going to run here. I got to hurry up because I got a class, and I need to hurry up because I got to work out, and I got to hurry up and get some lunch. Whereas in the pros, it's like, hey, you know, you come to practice, you know, you take care of what you need to do here at the facility. You don't have to worry about going back and forth. We're feeding you. You know, you have the ability to take advantage of whatever workouts you need to work out. I mean, whatever workouts you need to do.
We talked about the diet. I mean, the diet, I guess, in the pros, it's all very well designed and you're fed all that sort of thing. In college, though, it sounds like you ate like a college kid.
Exactly. There were times in college where I'm like, all right, I have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and I have my protein shake. And then this is going to have to at least make it
until you can get your big meal.
Exactly, until I get my big meal a little later. But this protein shake is going to be my life for me right now. This is what's going to get me through the day.
So what's the dynamic on a pro team versus a college team in terms of the success orientation? I mean, is there a, and we've talked about this a bit, that I've heard there's a fair amount of faith and prayer that goes on in locker rooms. Is that true for both the pros and college?
Yes, and I've seen it being done in a way where it's not forced upon you and it's all optional. You know, you have guys that don't really want to get into, you know, their faith and their beliefs in the locker room, but then you have guys that openly show it. You always see, I don't know if you ever pay attention to guys run out of the tunnel, you know, before games, and they'll run all the way down to the opposite end zone, and everybody and they'll take a knee, and they'll say their prayer, and there might be a prayer that goes on in the locker room. Some teams pray before they leave the locker room, but a lot of guys, it's routine for a lot of guys to run out of the tunnel, and the first thing they do once they get on the field is to say a prayer, and they're praying. They pray to whoever they feel they need to pray to, but that shows like how powerful that is, to where guys are playing a sport, the game that they love, they come into work, but the first thing they want to do is, you know, thank whoever they see as their higher.
Yeah. Well, your family is very important in that regard, and I think your flag football team also prays before each game.
We do. My flag football team, before every game, we say the prayer. We say the prayer together as a team. Like I said, it's nothing forced upon, but everybody participates. And it's one of our pregame rituals that we do. There has been a time where I have had to take a time out because the referees are ready to play, but my team's like, hey, we didn't say prayer yet. You know, we have to make sure we say prayer. Right. I remember particularly a time this past season where I had to call a timeout and say, hey, ref, we just have to take a timeout before the kickoff because we haven't said our prayer yet.
Right.
So it's important, even in flag football, the prayer is important.
And you're the coach of the team.
I'm the coach of the team.
And you're the best athlete except for your mom.
Besides my mom. If I take my mom off the team, I'm the best athlete.
How does your brother and your dad feel about that?
It's a hard knock life for them. It's a hard knock life for my dad and my brother in the house. On one hand, you have my mom who's known as the best athlete in the family, and then on the other hand, you have me who has these trophies hanging up in the house, and then my dad and my brother are like, well, where do we fit in this picture? You know? Where do we fit in?
So I understand your flag football team is, like, where are they going soon? You said
so we have national championships coming up for my flag football team. It's in Sarasota, Florida. It takes place every year in January. So we'll be there. I'll get there January 12th through the 14th. We'll compete against over 200 teams.
Oh, wow.
In different type of, you have co-ed football, you have men's and 4-on-4 and 8-on-8. And I mean, the flag football world down there is insane. Like you wouldn't imagine.
Now, are
how
these
much
all,
football is going on.
are these a lot of former college and high school players that are in flag football, or is it just from everywhere?
I think it's just from everywhere. You know, I mean, like I said, my mom, my dad, and my brother all play on my flag football team, and none of them have any college football experience at all.
I've been racing in triathlons the last few years, and we have something called age groups. Do you have
Okay.
age group flag football?
There is some age group flag football. There are youth divisions, and then you have 18 and up divisions. But in Florida, they have a masters division, what they call 35 and older. So they have a division where
I'm so much older than the Masters.
they have a division where everybody is at least 35, and they have 35 and older, and you're competing against. You don't have to worry about chasing a guy that's 18, 25-year-old down the field. You're playing against guys that are 35 and 40. And
So you've been successful in athletics and you've been successful in academics. You've been quite a achiever. Do you have any philosophy or simple way to describe what gets you up in the morning and how you approach the day?
a lot that comes out of me is my competitive edge.
Yeah.
And I cherish that a lot. And my competitive edge, it kind of takes over me, to where, sometimes I could see somebody walking down the street. I'm like, are they trying to walk faster than me?
Oh, competitive edge means you're competitive.
I'm competitive.
Well, he was telling me all about his
And the fact
Fitbit
that
how
you're
he-
competitive becomes an edge.
And it
because
becomes, yeah,
there's
exactly.
something that clicks.
Yes. So I'm always striving to be the best. Like we just talked about the Fitbit. I have a Fitbit on, and there's for no reason I need to be worrying about how many steps I get in a day because I'm pretty active. But I'm constantly aware of how many steps I have in a day, only because I'm so competitive. And I'm like, hey, my mom can't get more steps than
Right.
me. My friend, I can't have him getting more steps than me. So now, throughout my day, I'm making sure that, hey, I'm getting steps in. There have been times since 11 o'clock at night. I remember time my girlfriend got mad at me because she's talking to me about something, and I look over at my watch, and she's like, is that more important right now? And I'm like, it's almost midnight, and I have to get 200 more steps. I'm sorry, babe. Like, I'm listening.
So I now understand. Now you and I got to know each other. You're my personal trainer.
Uh-huh.
And I now know why when we're boxing, it feels like you may be starting to punch back.
Exactly.
Is that what's going
Exactly.
on?
Sometimes I'm holding the pad, I'm like, Bill's punching pretty hard. So I need to come back a little harder.
Yeah, you got to
this
come back a
time.
little harder. So how do you, if you've got a lot of kids that you're working with in flag football, what do you teach them about the competitive edge?
My two things, I have two things that was taught to me when I was in college that I honed on to, and you have two things you control, and that's your attitude and your effort. Okay, everything else is kind of anything can happen. The weather is unpredictable. What's going to be said next is unpredictable. But I can always control my attitude. I can always control my effort going into whatever situation I'm going into. There could be something that I'm not so happy about doing, but if I show up there with a positive attitude and I give great effort, then I'm going to get the best results for myself out of that situation. And so that's the biggest thing I try to teach the kids is not to worry so much about, this and that, but control what you can control. Okay? You can control your attitude. Have a positive attitude when you're going into things. You can control the effort. Do the best you can do, and everything else will kind of take care of itself in that sense.
That's pretty cool.
I think that's something to take away for life.
I like that.
With attitude, you create your own reality.
Yeah,
You don't let somebody else do it.
exactly.
Yeah, love it. Football, America, so important to each other. American football in America. Talk about where you think football fits into culture. And Maureen, I would also love to hear from you on this one.
I think that right now, I think that in culture, we're in a place to where football is becoming frowned upon, just because of a lot that's going on with football.
Right.
But you talk about football in America, like football is, for a lot of people, the scapegoat on the weekend. You have a tough week at work, and Thursday come around and you're like, I just can't wait to get home and watch that Thursday night football game. You know, I can't wait to just relax and watch that Thursday night game. Or, you know, like I mentioned before, like my dad, when he came to me the other day, he was telling me, hey, I need to make sure that the Redskins win this one more game, and I need the Cowboys to lose one more because I made a bet with my coworker. I mean, and that just, you know, kind of created a relationship for him and his coworker where they talk about football. They're not at work. They don't have to talk about work at work. You know, they can talk about football. It kind of gets them away from, you know, work or whatever problems you're having in the house or, you know, at work or wherever you are. Now I can just, Sunday coming around. Oh, it's Sunday. Yeah. It's football Sunday.
It brings families together.
That's football.
I mean, families and friends, neighbors. We have really good neighbors.
You and your sons watch football together.
Yes, we sit down and we watch football, and, you know, they scream and yell at the TV and sometimes get a little over emotional. I'm like, it's only a game, guys. But, you know, it's something that brings family and friends together. And, you know, we have very good friends that, you know, we've gone to Redskin games with them, and it's just like, it's so much fun. Yeah. It's just, you know, the whole thing is like a really, it's a good thing to, you know, it brings people together, and, you know, it's a sport. And
well, I like the way football seems to be adapting to the concussions issue. And we're changing the way the tackles are done. I think we need to be a little more aggressive on that, though. I don't think we need to go all the way to flag football, but I don't know. What's your point of view?
I think that I agree. I think that the coaching aspect of it needs to up, and I think that is getting a lot better. I remember when I was playing, like, you know, there was some coaching on how to tackle, but it was like, hey, you get the guy down, you know, whatever way you can. Whereas now they have videos out showing you the proper way to tackle to make sure that your head is not in the contact. The way that you can do it now. You have guys that you kind of make that split decision while you're playing. Like, hey, am I going to tackle that way? Am I going to not lead with my head? And there's some guys that, you know, that still do. But I think that it's going in a better direction now with the coaching aspect of how to tackle and how to avoid or how to try to avoid, and like how you will be penalized if, you know, you don't try to avoid the contact with the head.
Yeah, I think that's very important that they're doing that, and they're, you know, fining guys and, you know, suspending them depending upon how severe the hit is. And I think that really does help make the sport a little more safe. Yeah. I mean, it's not a safe sport, you know, but if played with that in mind, I think it can be a lot, you know, you don't have as many injuries and things. So.
Well, I hope they make a change. We talked about this in our other show about how around 1900, 1910, football had gotten so dangerous, there were college players dying every week. And Teddy Roosevelt, was president then, stepped in and took charge of football and made him change the rules. And then the question is, for those of us that don't want to be political, would you like Donald Trump to step in? I'm sure he'd like to.
Right. I'm sure he would.
Anyway, final thoughts. Which, if you had a chance to go back in and play pro ball, would you do it again, or would you go back now? I guess that's really the question.
The question: would I go back now? If I had an opportunity right now, I would not go back right now. When I stopped playing, it was at the times where I was starting to feel like it wasn't as fun, you know, and once the fun started to get taken out of the football, I kind of didn't want to do it anymore. Whereas now I'm playing flag football, and it's completely fun. I'm playing with my mom and my dad. You know, my dad's throwing me passes, and I'm throwing my mom passes, and like this is fun for me, you know. And not to say that the NFL wasn't fun, because the NFL was fun. It was a great experience, but I could kind of start to feel the drop off of how fun it was becoming for me. Like, I remember the fun I had when I was 9, scoring touchdowns, and when I was a senior in high school, making interceptions, and I just didn't feel that same feeling when I got in the pros and I was in practice. And maybe, and then, you know, a lot of that might have to do with the fact that when I was a kid and when I was in high school, I was the guy on the team.
Right.
You know, I was the focal point on the team. And then when you get in the NFL, and like, you're just like one of those little dots, you know, of guys.
Yeah, we've looked at those dots in there.
Exactly, literally, one of those little dots that's just kind of running a route, you know, and I think that had a lot to do with, you know, how I felt, you know, exiting the NFL.
I see you becoming a teacher, maybe opening a sports academy or some sort of excellence academy or something like that.
Yeah,
Do you
and
see
that's-
yourself doing something like that?
And that's actually exactly what I want to do. One day I want to be able to open up an academy to where a facility where you could play a bunch of different sports and learn
Yeah.
how to play these sports and be active and have fun, and you know that's the goal.
But
That's
I
the-
think you're in a way bearing the lead, though, but it's not just about the sports, it's about the character.
It's about the character, exactly. It's about the character. And for example, I have my flag football team, and there's a lot of guys that are good. You know, there's a lot of good players, but I kind of build myself on, hey, like, I'm not going to just have anybody come play on my team. I want somebody that's going to be good around my family, that's going to have some character, that's
Yeah.
not just like, hey, give me the ball because I'm open, but like, I want to have fun. Like, let's throw your mom a touchdown pass, you know, or let's throw my girlfriend a touchdown.
Put her in the end zone.
Yeah, you know, like that's the kind of guys I want to play with on my team. Like, you know, in the
Yeah.
NFL, it's a lot more. Hey, we need to win. You know, because
Yeah.
it's a production-based league. If we don't win, we losing our jobs. Whereas flag football, we don't win. I might have to hear my mom on the way home, but other than that, it's all fun and games.
Thanks. I think next time we'll have your mom on too.
Oh,
This will be fun. Maureen,
Oh,
thanks for
man.
joining us.
Yeah.
This was
This is a
fun,
lot of
and
fun.
Yeah.
It was
I'll
great.
I will we'll be promoting your academy when you start. At the meantime,
There we
I'll
go.
see you in the gym next week, and don't pull your punches. I
I
can
will
take
be
it.
ready. I will be ready.
Thanks for listening. Want more? Be sure to subscribe to Common Ground with Bill Walton on iTunes.